Hello class, Mr. Phelps here talking about section 1.4 where we're going to talk about measuring angles. So to start 1.4, our learning goal is to name, classify, and measure angles. And then our essential question is how can we compare angles? How can we find differences between? Again, like a reminder in all videos, you are welcome to pause whenever you need. Take your time through this video. So to start, what is an angle? An angle is formed by two rays that share the same endpoint. Right, if we look here, we have this called a vertex. Here's our endpoint. And notice it is made up of two separate rays. Two separate rays. So you got an angle is formed by two rays. When we name an angle, we have to think of a couple things. If it is an angle all by itself, we can call it by its vertex. All right, that vertex is kind of what we think of as the inside of the angle, the corner part of that angle. So right, we could call this just angle B. And notice the notation we use. We put a little angle sign in front, and then we use the letter that is at its vertex. That is at its vertex. So now the question is, what if we have more than one angle? What do we do if we have more than one angle in one picture? So if we have more than one angle in a picture, we have to use all 3 points. But the key thing, notice it's already underlined, the vertex has to be in the middle. So I'm going to go through each one of these real quick for you guys. So if I'm talking about angle AEB, that would be this angle here. It starts at A, goes to E, and then out to B. So that would be angle AEB. Okay, now I'll erase that. We'll go to the next one here. Now I'm talking about angle AEC. So that starts here at A, goes to E, and goes out to C. So notice we can call that angle AEC. And of course, we can always reverse this. We can call this CEA. Those are the same angle. It's still the same angle, you're just coming at it from a different way. So I'll go through one more, and then I think the rest of them we can kind of just talk through. We look here, we have AED, so we go from A to E to D. So now that's this angle right here. And of course, like we said last time, you can switch that to be DEA. Those two angles are exactly the same. So just talking through those other ones, hope we realize, right? Notice E, our vertex is in the middle. E, our vertex is in the middle. E, vertex is in the middle. Making sure that vertex is always in the middle. So now when we see this notation, it's a little m, and then it has angle A. Lowercase m and angle A next to it. That is saying the measure of angle A. And so if I'm wanting to figure out what is that measure, it might be written out as little m, angle A equals 52 degrees. That tells me this angle right here, like it was already written, is 52 degrees. It's a 52 degree angle. So now, how do we measure angles? How do we measure angles? And so this is the key thing we're going to be talking about in this class. We use a tool. we use a tool called a protractor. And that's what this is right here. Right, find the measure of an angle, use a protractor, and it measures it in degrees. On the next page, we're going to go through finding this, but I'm just going to go over it right here. Right, we always put the center of that protractor right on the vertex. Put it right on the vertex. Now what we're able to do, we need to make sure that one side is flat, straight, right at 0. So notice that side's right at 0. Notice where it's at 0 is on the inside. So that's very important to notice where is the 0 at. On this side, it's on the inside. So to measure this angle, we're only going to look at those inside numbers. And we're going to look to see, okay, where does this one go through? And roughly, I know it's kind of hard to see, so we'll just talk through this. We would say that this is a 60-degree angle. We want to try to be as exact as we can, so if you're using a much finer edge like a pencil, you get a much better answer than what I have. But in this case, we're just going to say that's a 60-degree angle. Make sure you're not calling that 120 degrees. That's a 60-degree angle. So now we have many different types of angles, right? We have 4 main types that we talk about. I'm sure we've heard of many of these before. The first one, our first type of angle, is called an acute angle. And an acute angle is an angle that measures anywhere between 0 and 90 degrees. So these are smaller angles that are a little greater than 0 but less than 90 degrees. And we know that all 90-degree angles, they have a specific name to them. Right? 90-degree angles are called right angles. They're a right angle. Then for our angles that are a little bigger than 90 but less than 180, we call those ones obtuse. And then our last ones, which we see often as lines, we call that a straight angle. So right, that's when the measure of that angle equals 180 degrees. So those are our 4 different kinds. We got acute, right, obtuse, and straight. So looking at this page, it says find the measure of the angle and classify it as acute, obtuse, right, or straight. So I'm going to take my protractor. I'm going to center it in right on that vertex. We're actually going to do all 3 of these at the same time. So I'm going to do this one in green. So we look at this angle, right? We would call this one either angle JGK or angle KGJ, right? Always putting the vertex in the middle. What we have to check, notice when it goes through this straight line, it goes through the 0 on the inside here. So we have to use those numbers to figure out our angle, and we would say roughly that angle KGJ is 40 degrees. And we know that if it's greater than 0 degrees and less than 90, this would be classified as an acute angle. So now we'll try this next one here. Right, we'll start from K again, come out this way to G, and now this time we're coming out this way, following this line. We're going to extend that. So this angle is angle KGI. If we look at this one again, it goes through the 0, the same spot it did over here. So again, we're using the inside numbers here. And notice, roughly for this time, we're just going to say again, it's a thick line. So we're going to say it's right in between 120 and 130. So we're going to classify this and say that it is 125 degrees, which we know if it is greater than 90, but less than 180, it is an obtuse